It is okay to be single. It's okay to be alone. Being alone does not mean that you're lonely. Lonely is what happens when you don't create your happiness within yourself and you think you constantly need that supply, that fulfillment from other things and other people. Hey everyone, Janna here. Hope you're all having a great day. So, I was going to record on a completely different topic today than I'm actually going to discuss. And that is because I don't ever really know exactly, like I give myself topic ideas um for my podcast, and then I typically pick one out the day I'm going to record. Um just depending on what's weighing heavy on my mind. And then there's times where I'm just like, I know exactly what I'm going to record and I'm going to go do it. Um, and then um, today I thought I knew exactly what I was going to record. In fact, I recorded this episode is episode 48. I actually recorded episode 48 about 4 days ago. And when I went and looked at it before I sent it off to my producer, only 10 minutes of the 20 minutes got recorded. So not sure how that happened, but everything happens the way it's supposed to. And that is because what I discussed that day wasn't the message that y'all needed to hear. So what I'm going to talk about today is navigating tough relationships, navigating divorce. What I recorded a few days ago on Saturday was actually just about why people get stuck in relationships and choose to stay stuck. And it was really, really good. But I realize now that that's just part of really what needed to be discussed. And I'm going to talk about why people get stuck in relationships as well today. But what I felt heavy on my heart that I felt you, my listeners, maybe needed was how to navigate tough relationships and divorce. As many of you know, I have 3 kids, 15, 13, and 8. And I'm divorced from their father and have been for, a few years now. And, it was not an easy divorce. It was very ugly. And there's no co-parenting relationship there whatsoever. And, that's just how it is. And, dealing with narcissists are not easy. And you mix kids in the middle of that, and it's just a lot. And so many people struggle in relationships, and then you get stuck, and it can lead to a breakup or divorce. Maybe you got kids, maybe you don't. And it can just get really, really ugly, and it's really, really hard to get through emotionally for both men and women. And I have so many people ask me, like, how did you get through that? What did you do? Especially when someone, unfortunately has that occur in their life. They always come like, Janna, like, I know you went through this, and, how did you get through it? Like, I feel like I'm drowning. I feel like I can't breathe. And so that's the message that I felt like I needed to talk about today. And, so much of what I do in helping people is with the mindset, because your mindset is the foundation to everything in your life. Okay. So if you have an unhealed, broken mindset, then everything else is, right. Like, you can't build a solid house on a cracked foundation. It's eventually going to fall, right? So if you are going through a really hard time in your relationship right now, whether you're married or not, and you're struggling, I want you to sit with yourself, not with friends, not with anyone, just you. And I just want you to ask yourself, are you putting up with something you shouldn't be putting up with? Maybe someone's been unfaithful, or you were lied to, or you've just been disrespected too much. Or maybe you've grown apart. Maybe you fell in love too quickly and you didn't really get to know each other. And then you move in and life starts and You combine, lives and friends and activities, and communication is poor. Poor communication is a huge factor in a relationship being successful or not. And knowing each other's love language, that's another one. I used to think that the love language thing was a bunch of bullshit. So it's like, well, everybody likes to be told that they're loved, and everyone likes to be shown that they're loved. But there's actually a lot of truth to the love language. I actually used to just be words of affirmation, and that's all I wanted. And now the words of affirmation are not my top priority. It is, it is the actions, because you can tell someone you love them all day long, but if your actions don't are not in alignment, then um, the words don't mean anything, right? And I think it's really, really important to have really good communication. And I'm a fighter, right? Like, I don't like to give up on people. I have a hard time letting go of something that maybe I don't feel like I've exhausted every avenue on fixing stuff, because that's just how I am, right? You know, that works good for me, and it can be my downfall as well. For example, that warrior fighter aspect is what got me through Lyme disease. That's what um, gave me the willpower I needed to overcome and eradicate Lyme from my body and heal myself 100%. And it's what got me through a tumultuous divorce and a whole lot of other shit. But that same willpower has made me hold on to relationships that I should have let go of much, much sooner than I did. And so I say that because I know that a lot of people are that way. A lot of people stay in a relationship because it's comfortable. They become complacent. They don't think they can do any better. Maybe the other person has brainwashed them or manipulated them, right? And torn their self-esteem and their self-confidence to shreds, and they don't even feel worthy, right? And then you have people that stay together because they have kids. Uh, and there's a ton of reasons that people stay together when they shouldn't. And what happens is, the more that time goes by, the harder it is to leave. The harder it is to do the right thing. The more a wedge is driven between the two of you. I don't do the whole elephant in the room thing. If for some reason you're not familiar with that, that just means the unspoken issue between two people that nobody wants to bring attention to and discuss. I absolutely do not do that. I want everything figured out. I don't do elephant in the room, and you know why? Because that elephant's going to keep growing and get really fucking big. Um, Anything that's not handled, it's not discussed, it gets bitter inside, and it turns into resentment. And I don't want that. Don't assume that your partner knows what you're thinking or how you feel. Okay? We get so comfortable in relationships that we just kind of stop asking the other one how they feel. And look, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a couples counselor. I'm not. I am a nutritionist. I'm a health coach, a mindset coach, um, an author, a mom, and a woman who's just been through a lot of shit. And wisdom does not come with age. Wisdom comes when you choose to overcome a tough time. That's how you gain wisdom. So you can gain wisdom at 20 years old, and you can gain it at 50. Just choosing to overcome something and learning the lesson. That's how you get wisdom. So I have a whole lot of wisdom. And I'm so analytical that drives people crazy sometimes, but it also is how I understand everything. And what I don't understand is that, like, first when you meet someone, right, and you get the butterflies and you're like, oh my God, they're the one. Everything that you do in the beginning of that relationship, right, when it's the lovey-dovey butterfly, nothing's wrong in the world phase, all that you do and all that other person does in the relationship in the beginning, that's all that you know. You just met this person. You know them for exactly what they are showing you and telling you, vice versa. Okay, here we are, moving along. You fall in love with each other. Okay. Again, all you know is what has been said and what has been shown. That's it. That's all you know. All right. A few months into the relationship, still going strong. A few more months, getting comfortable, starting to know them, and then a few more months go by. And what happens is we get comfortable, we get settled in our ways, we get new habits, we're adapting to each other and each other's lives and combining and meshing it together. And then this right here, my friends, this next thing I'm about to tell you begins what can be the downfall in a relationship, which is you stop doing all of those things that you each did in the beginning that worked and made you fall in love with each other. Yeah, that's what it is. It drives me absolutely batty. It really, really does. That was my biggest fear when I met my now husband, right? I had been divorced, I had 3 kids, I'd been through hell and back. I wasn't looking for a man. I didn't want a man. I was quite enjoying my alone time and being single. I really was, because it was the first time in my life that I craved and enjoyed being by myself. And I was just like, man, I'm good. Like, honestly, I could go 10 years, being single. And I mean that, really do. And then here he came, right? And I was his nutritionist. And then we built this friendship and we became like be best friends. But as it started to turn into something more, I got scared. Rightfully so. I'd been through hell and back. And I just, I told him everything, right? Like, this is how I am. This is how I feel. These are my fears. And I remember telling him, I'm afraid that, like, this is how it is in the beginning, but it doesn't stay that way. It never does. It just doesn't. And I was so scared that I think sometimes I was trying to push him away because I thought, well, if you're really meant for me and you got what it takes, I can't push you away. And I was hard on him. Straight up hard on him. But that's my mentality, right? I've been through hell and back, and I don't believe you can push the right people away. So anyways, I share that with you because a lot of times people just don't say the littlest things on their minds. They're so scared to tell their partner what it is they feel or maybe what their fears are, and fear that their partner will think that they're insecure or not confident or whatever. So you just don't say anything. And I probably over communicate because I don't want anyone to ever assume. I want them to know. And um, you know, it's important to know everything about each other, because the good and the bad, because that's how you know why your partner is the way they are, why they think the way they think, why they have the reactions they have. And my husband now it's the first healthy relationship I've ever had with a man. Yes, including my father. I have never had a healthy relationship with a man ever. And so it was a hurdle because when you've never had a healthy relationship with a man in love, um, you don't know what's normal or what's not. You only know the normal you've been exposed to, and then you figure out it's not normal, and it's a lot. And there was always this question in the back of my mind, like, when is that going to stop? Like, he won't continue to do that, and he'll turn and da 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 da. And I had to work through that shit. I really, really did. And thank God he was patient. Um, but if you don't feel like someone loves you unconditionally, it's not the right relationship. Also, you cannot receive the kind of love that you so desperately want and desire, um, and rightfully earned, if you don't even give it to yourself. So until you love yourself fully and accept yourself fully, you're not going to attract the kind of friendships and relationships and those deep connections that you so desperately want. As I've said before, love is not blind. It's the lack of love for ourselves that makes us blind. That's really true. Because when you don't love yourself, you accept things and mediocrity that you would not normally accept because you have much lower standards and boundaries. But when you love yourself and create your own happiness and accept yourself, then you don't accept anything less than. And so if you're stuck in a relationship right now, if you're having a hard time, I want you to have some alone time with yourself, do some self reflection. I want you to ask yourself, is what you're dealing with, is it something that can be overcome? Did they cross a boundary that cannot be uncrossed? Did they do something that just you can't come back from? Is that person, did they embody all that you want and need? Are you with them for the right reasons? If any part of you is with someone and not leaving them just because you fear you can't do any better, you don't want to lose the friendships and the life you have, um, or just see what happens, something else will come along. If any you have any of those thoughts, please get out. Like, leave the relationship. That's not fair to them or yourself. Um, and then the other one, this might be a touchy subject, but I'm going to talk about it. So when I was married to my ex-husband, the father of my 3 kids, I put up with a lot of shit I should never put up with. And I forgave a lot of things, a lot of betrayal that I swore I would never put up with. And I forgave. And that's when I realized, like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm forgiving. And I knew I was doing that for my kids. And I put up with so much, and I had been torn to pieces and lost my self-esteem and my self-worth. But after the divorce, and I did a lot of healing and internal work on my mindset, I realized how much shit I put up with because of my kids. And you can't recognize anything in other people that you yourself have not experienced and overcome, right? So if some of the things I'm about to share with you, if I would have seen, before I went through hell in my last marriage, I wouldn't have recognized it, at least not the same way. And what I'm saying is that I want to say is, don't use the excuse that you're just staying in a relationship or in a marriage because of the kids. I don't really care what anyone thinks about it. I've been on both sides of the tracks. And I'm going to tell you this much. Yes, it sucks when I don't have my kids with me because they're with their father half the time. But nothing sucks as bad as being in a unhappy, miserable marriage and not being able to be myself. And what am I showing my kids by staying like that? What am I showing them? Because my kids never would have seen me become my true self. They would never have seen their mom become a #1 best-selling author. I never would have had this podcast or be who or where I am today. My kids are proud of me. My kids now get to see what a healthy relationship is between two people now that I've remarried. They now get to fully feel and see and be in my energy that I've created in my home for them. It was never possible and never would have been possible for me to give these things to them in that marriage. So please don't use that as an excuse, because your kids deserve so much better as well. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it wasn't your plan. But you know what? That's just how life is. You have one life to live. How do you want to live it? And you know what? It is okay to be single. It's okay to be alone. Being alone does not mean that you're lonely. Lonely is what happens when you don't create your happiness within yourself and you think you constantly need that supply, that fulfillment from other things and other people. All right, my friends, I'm going to leave you here with this. I'm going to be discussing this more in some future episodes. But I would love to hear what you think. So you can DM me on Instagram, Revive by Janna. You can leave a comment below. Or if you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment as well. Please share my show with your friends and sign up for my newsletter on my website, Revive by Janna, if you haven't. And just thank you all for listening and for your support. And I hope you all have a great week.